Hey everyone, Greta here. Today we are going to talk about a very common shape, Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose, or more familiarly known as the butterfly pose. How to get the knees more closer down to the floor. Honestly, I don't believe in that your knees have to come down all the way down to the floor unless there is a shape that you really want to do. Okay, let's say you want to do lotus for whatever reason, then yeah, the knees have to, go to a certain degree. That's more reflective of how open your hips are in order to be able to do a lotus. However, if that is not what you're aiming for, if there's no particular shape that you're aiming for, if you are here, as long as you can breathe okay, as long as you can feel a decent, a thorough, a little bit of a challenge, stimulation in the outer hip and outer thigh, then that's great, okay? But again, I know that we all have different intentions and whatnot, so let's not go into there. So this video is more about how to get your knees further down to the floor if that is your goal. Now, aside from the limitation, maybe the tightness in your hips, whatever, we also have to understand that the bone structure of everyone is different. Okay, some people have longer thigh bones, hip sockets, some people have narrower hip sockets, some have deeper, and the bone that kind of sticks into the socket, the angle of it's different, a lot of details. Okay, so if your knees are not coming all the way down to the floor, it might not necessarily mean that, oh, I'm tight in your hips. Okay, it could very well be that your hips are not designed to do that, and that's perfectly fine. However, again, no one will really know, so it doesn't hurt to, if you want to maybe get a little bit more stretch in your hips, how to do it. I know I sound really when I talk about alignment, because again, I don't really think that we should all be cookie cutters. Our bodies are very different, so that's it. For me, I might have to say that my hips are naturally more open, okay? So I can just flop my knees down to the floor, but then that is just my body. And anatomically, my hips are designed for this more easier way to have your knees coming down to the floor, and also by practicing quite a bit, then my hips become even more open. Okay, that's just me. But then I see a lot of people, when they are here, they tend to press the knees down towards the mat. Okay, for me, if I'm here, I wouldn't do that, because it's not about whether your knees are coming down to the floor or not. The knees are more like a reflection of how open your hips are. Okay, externally hip rotation. Okay, if your hips externally rotating is more limited, then your knees will be high up. Okay, if your hips, the external rotation, the range of mobility is greater, then your knees will flop down. That's just it. And also, not just the hips, but also the lower back. If your lower back could kind of relax a little bit, could kind of melt and not tense that much, then yes, your knees will come further down towards the floor. Okay, a lot of things, and also not just the muscles, but the fascia, boom, like a big load of info, which I will not unload onto you. Okay, back to this. So, okay, I understand this, but I really want to open my hips. How to do? Well, if you're asking me, I would actually use a wall, because this is actually my favorite. If you don't have a wall space, close the door, whatever. If you have a bit of space that is good enough for the width of your knees, it doesn't have to be super high, because you'll be coming to a butterfly, you're laying down butterfly anyway, so it doesn't have to be super high. So it doesn't even have to be a wall space. It could be like a bookshelf, or like a desk, the back of a door, whatever. So what you want to do is you want to do this one. So for this one, I generally just kind of chill. Just kind of flop down, swing your legs up, butterfly. Feet on the floor, your knees kind of flare out, and just kind of chill. So you want to be relaxed. You can read a book, you can watch iPad or use your phone, whatever. You can do email stuff, and just let gravity and time just kind of open up. Okay. Again, there are a lot of things that we cannot control, but then there's always something that we can kind of work on, and that is, if it's more on the tightness of their hips. So just chill here. Sometimes it does take a longer time to let your knees kind of flop down and let the heels kind of drop towards your pubic bone. Okay, and just let them and just stay. Other times it might be a little bit easier for your heels to come closer to your pubic bone, but this is my go-to. And this is actually very, very comfortable because I am letting my heels come close to my body instead of pressing the legs down towards the mat. So it does feel quite different. It feels more open and less, how do you say, just more relaxed. I mean, the goal is still there. I still want to have the heel come closer to my body, but then I'm not forcing, I'm not like jamming my heels to come close. So you can stay here anywhere from 3 minutes. If you feel comfortable to stay for 10, why not? This is always also a very good choice to let your body just kind of do a little shavasana in. Another one with the props is for this one. So if you're sitting either with the back against the wall or whatever or not, with the back against the wall is a little bit more relaxing. If you don't have a wall behind you, it might be a little bit more effort. If your knees are floating up, I would actually grab pillows or blankets, never blocks, to kind of lightly support the knees. And again, just hang out here for a while. The reason why I don't want to get blocks or anything that is too solid, like box or a stool or anything at all, is because again, I want the weight and the gravity, like gravity and time, to slowly allow my knees to flop out. If the blocks are underneath my knees to support, there's no way for my knees to come down. Whereas cushions or blankets or pillows, something that have some shape, but you can still kind of sink into over time, could help you to slowly ease into the shape. So if you're working towards your knees coming closer down towards the floor in this variation, make sure you grab something soft for you to kind of sink the weight on as time progresses. Third and final option, you're like, no, I don't have time, I just want to get into it. How should I do it? Fine. For me, I would never press into my knees because again, the knees are not the issue, it's the hips that are the issue. Okay, if I jam my knees down to the floor because my hips are not ready to take in that load, who's going to take in the load? The knees. Okay, so if it's me, I would start from the hip crease. So instead of having my hands pressing your knees vertically down towards the mat, I would have my hands placed onto my thighs close to the hip crease, and then slowly kind of gliding my hands out and down like that. So the motion is from my hip crease, this space right here, from the hip crease out and gently pressure down. So if you feel this is a little bit too sore, then the entire palm, the base of the palm against the hip creases, and then gently pressing out and a slight downward motion. And that is to guide everything out and down, not just going vertically down with your knees, because your knees shouldn't take in that extra load. So that's it, a bit of a lengthy explanation, but I think it's worth the time to just kind of have a more thorough explanation of, you know, what to do if you really want to open up the hips in that way. But then for me, again, don't force it. You only have one pair of knees and also hips. So yeah, just be more mindful. Move mindfully, move with more intelligence, you know, move with your breath. That's the most important. If you are not breathing, if you're staying in any of those shapes but not breathing, you're not doing anything. Might as well don't do it. Okay? So hope it's helpful. Like it, share it, subscribe to my channel, and DM me if you want to practice with me. DM me IG or Facebook. All right, see you again soon. Take it easy.